Thank you very much. As you can see from that video, I suffered sexual abuse from a close family member. And as culture dictates, I had to shut it. I had to close my mouth about it in order to protect the name of the family. And Auntie told me that now that this has happened to you, you are nobody. You are nothing. No man is going to want you because you've been tarnished. And the best you can do now is to protect your family from the stigma that comes with it. Is to protect your family from the gossip that comes out of it. And this person that violated me is a very important person, very respectable person in Zimbabwe. And I was basically told that, imagine you, a girl from the village, a nobody, coming out with this story. No one will believe it. And all you will do is ruin the respectable man. Now I ask you today, what's so respectable about violating somebody's space? Be it sexual, be it psychological, be it mental, be it just space. Just your own space, the ability to say yes or no. What's so respectable about that? This is what I'm here to talk about today. And I'm also going to talk about the ripple effect of the things that happen to us and we hide them. It takes effort, ladies and gentlemen, to hide gross things. It was not easy. I had to school myself to zip my mouth when it was always this close to spilling over. It was not easy. No one was there to teach me how to do it. There was all sorts to tell me, yes, don't do it. But nobody told me how to do it. I had to learn. And the school that taught me how to do that was fear. Another thing that's quite heavy to carry. It takes effort to live and survive with fear. And trust me, I've lived it. I don't wish it on any woman. I don't wish it on any child. I don't even wish it on any man. Come to think of it, I don't wish it even on my worst enemy. It's a heavy load. The process of learning to keep that secret developed skills and traits in me that made me look to the world like the perfect person, the admirable person, because I had to act. 31 years of my life, I was acting. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Selling 31 years of your life to fear. 31 years of protecting somebody that doesn't even need protecting. For taking the blame of somebody else's actions. For people telling you, you're the one that's wrong, even though you're the victim in the same sentence. Can you hear how wrong that sounds? I've come all the way from Wolverhampton because in this country, this is actually still happening and nobody's talking about it. And when my sister here told me she was doing this, empowering women, I thought this is an area and this is an opportunity and a platform to start speaking. People say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Yes.
And I think addressing situations also starts with one person. And I've decided to be that one person. I tried to talk about this last year at a different event, and I did it live on Facebook, and the response I got really shocked me, that we have come all the way here and have learned. I know Zimbabweans, when probably 90% of Zimbabweans who come to England have gone to universities, yeah, have acquired degrees. And I question myself, shouldn't people be developing from this learning? I had a lot of Zimbabweans coming into my inbox telling me to shut it, telling me to stop. You're shaming us, you're disgracing us, you're going to cause havoc in our families. So please stop talking about it. And for a while I did stop, because that fear is still there. Fear does not go easy. It's a journey, which is where the name Road to Recovery came from, because I felt I was on a journey. But how I started Road to Recovery was, as I was pressuring myself to seem perfect, so people don't know what's going on in there. People don't know what's going on in here. I had to put a front. And my front was perfectionism. I had to dress right, I had to walk right, I had to look right. In the job, I had to be a step ahead of everyone else, so that everybody would be afraid to confront me, would be afraid to stand by my side. But this is what I believed. I never even stopped to think, is that what everybody is seeing? I didn't. And that brings us to faith. I had faith that I was painting the right picture. But when people started saying, oh, shut it, or you're shaming us, or I had to think, wait a minute. I don't even know these people. They don't even contribute anything in my life. So whether I'm shaming them or not, why should I care? But for me to stop, it was not easy, because I had been doing this for, like I said, 31 years. Habits die hard. I knew at the back of my mind I had something that I needed to address, but where to start from, I didn't know. Our culture is that wherever we go, we form little groups of Zimbabweans. I think other cultures do it. So I really had no one to go to, because it was that same group that was telling me to shut it. So how do I start? Went on for a year, driving myself. The more I thought I need to address this, the harder I was working in the workplace. And the harder I was working at protecting people. I thought in my head, I have to protect people from what I've gone through. But because I was still bubbling with it, in some places I actually ended up causing harm instead of helping, because you give what's inside. And what was inside of me was a total mess. I dressed it up with clothes, I dressed it up with nice hair, I dressed it up with education, lines of certificates and diplomas and you name it. But the reality of things is, what's inside is inside. And that's all you can give. You can paint pictures, but nobody can touch and relate and bond with pictures. They can bond with the real thing. And the real thing is what was inside of me. And that's what I was spewing out in words, in actions, or just in body language, which I wasn't even aware of. I mean, I used to look at people and think, why are people always looking miserable? Everywhere I look, people are just miserable. But I didn't realize that I was miserable. And if I come to you ladies looking miserable, what happens? Are you gonna start smiling at a miserable person? No. You're even going to shut your own joy down. Yeah? And this is what I was doing to communities around me. If I opened my mouth to speak, I was always complaining about this, complaining about that, moaning about this, moaning about that. But the reality of the matter is I was avoiding the real crucial thing, facing the fact that I suffered domestic violence. And I spoke of ripple effect earlier on. If you don't address situations, you create a revolving door. And the ripple effect is that these things can happen again and again and again. I developed a pattern of getting into relationships that would start off very good and look like they're going in the right direction. But the words that were put in my head and in my mind that I was nobody, I was nothing, I was filth, and no man would want me, made me believe that every man that was coming towards me was not genuine. All they wanted was the easy that my uncle got. And I felt powerless to fight it. So I was letting men, come and go, come and go. And to be honest with you, there was a few quite serious men that really wanted a serious relationship with me. But the pattern that I had developed as a defense mechanism was, as soon as a man starts getting serious, I sabotage. Because I felt surrendering to marriage is surrendering to total control. I'm gonna now be controlled. And this man is gonna have legal right to make me do the things that I don't want to do. I think a lot of people, when you've been sexually abused, sex is the last thing you want. Sex is the last thing on your mind. And no man marries a woman with a package that says everything else except sex. No man, trust me, I don't think it will ever happen on planet Earth or any other planet for that matter. So I would really get emotionally attached. But when it comes to settling down, the thing that will knock on my heart and my mind was, you're gonna have to have sex. I could deal with that with no strings attached because I had control. I could say 5 minutes, that's enough, I'm going. But when you're married, the bedroom is the same. So if it's gonna be 8 hours, it's 8 hours. You have nowhere to run. So you've lost that control. And the fact that you're married as well anyway, if you're somebody who have conscience, you would not have your conscience playing on you as well, saying, actually, you said yes to this man. Who are you to deny him that? Which means, again, I go back to feeding somebody else's needs over my own. Ladies and gentlemen, domestic violence ruins everything in you, outside of you, around you. I couldn't love my own child because of it. I couldn't enjoy my job, just working regular like anybody else because of it. It ruined my relationship with my mother because I couldn't tell her what happened because I was told don't speak of it. So my mom didn't understand my behavior. My own siblings didn't understand my behavior. So all my relationships were. Then I had the car accident. I actually drove myself to the point of self-destruction. Today I am very grateful that I'm actually standing here talking to you guys because 2017 I could have died. I drove into a wall and I've spent the last 2 years recovering from that accident. But one thing I remember is while I was going into the war, I saw a slideshow of my life. And I remember thinking, dear God, am I going to die today when I haven't even lived life? Because what I'd been doing was acting. What I'd been doing was living somebody else's reality. I'd not been myself. And I remember praying, God, just give me one chance and I'll correct this. Give me one chance and I'll love my mom properly. Give me one chance and I'll love my son properly. Give me one chance and I'll protect the people that I've been trying to protect, but protect them properly. And as I was wheeled into the hospital, I heard the doctor saying, oh, she will never walk again. We can't fix, because my leg turned backwards, the foot turned face backwards. And they were like, the best we can hope for is either crutches or wheelchair and then pain management. That's it. And I thought, not if God has anything to do with it. I prayed. I've always been a Christian, I've always been a believer, but I had actually never really prayed. Until that time I prayed, I said, I have a duty. I asked God a lot of times, why do all these negative things happen to me? Why do you allow them to happen? But at that time, with that accident, I got the answer. When I should have been saying, this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me, it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it grounded me at home to properly reflect, to look within, to look around me, to think. Because all I had was time to think. And I came to a lot of realizations. Unless you are yourself, you never really know what you're doing. You're basically just trying, you're basically just grabbing at straws. You're basically just surviving. I even used to boast that I'm a survivor. But the new me, the real me that is standing in front of you here today, is telling you that God did not intend us to just survive. God intended us to live life. As Africans, we call each other survivors. I hear that a lot because we face a lot of difficulties and we don't seek help. We fight and fight and fight. Life is not about fighting. Life shouldn't be about fighting. Life should be about self-respect, self-expression, self-love. Filling your cup, like my colleague said, filling your cup, because then what spills over is the real McCoy, is the genuine. When you say with your mouth, I love you, my sister, I love you, my son, I love you, my mother, I love you, my neighbor. If your cup is full, it's the real I love you. Most of our lives, we are saying these words because they are expected. We have no idea what they mean because we are living lives in boxes. We are shaped by other people, for other people. And then we are controlled by other people for the benefit of other people. Today I am challenging everyone in here. Ask yourself, when do I get back to me? It's unfortunate that it took atrocities for me to realize that. But I'm passionate about making sure that people realize that it doesn't have to be that way. It should never have to be that way. We should be there for each other. This here, trust me, it's almost like she read my mind. It's almost like she walked into my head and just transcribed what I believe to be real life. And this is something that we have grown up believing it's not our right, when nobody actually ever said that to us. We say little things and we misunderstand them, we misconstrue them. We don't give ourselves time to reflect. What does this mean to me? We are so busy trying to fit in, trying to impress, that we never stop to think of ourselves. And this is why we find ourselves in abusive marriages and staying in abusive relationships. Even a boyfriend who's not even married you go through a relationship, 2, 3, I've come across people, 2, 3, 4 years in a relationship, abusive relationship, and you're staying. Why? Because everybody else expects you to be in a relationship. And everybody else expects you to have a long-term relationship. Everybody expects that relationship to end up in marriage. And if at all you break up with 1, 2, 3, there's a label that comes with that. You're cheap, you're easy, you're a prostitute. Trust me, I didn't get married because of my demons that I've just talked about. But I've also worn so many hats of labels coming from all directions, from people, from their conclusions, assumptions, never actually asking me, what are you about? Why aren't you settling down? Nobody ever asked that. And I've been called all sorts of things. Husband snatcher, home wrecker. I've never cheated on anybody. I've never dated anybody's husband. But I have carried those titles on top of everything else that was going on. And when I say to you 2, 3 years of relationships, abusive, I've lived it as well. Because I thought, if I break up with this guy, they're going to say, oh, what did you expect? She was messed up a long time ago. Where did you think it was gonna go? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying we need to start talking about the things that hurt us. We need to start challenging cultures that don't save us. We need to start challenging religions that push us into situations we don't want to be in. We have religions that say you can't hold a certain position in church unless you're married. As if I'm going to be dragging my husband with me, carrying out my role in church. But this is the reality of it. So you have pressure from every angle. My sister there said that only you can save yourself. It's very true. From all sorts of angles. You are your own keeper. And if ever we're going to change that cycle and start being each other's keepers, you cannot do it until you've dealt with your own demons. Which is why I have undertaken training on how to help people. I've just finished my coach training, and I'm setting up an organization that coaches people to be themselves, to self-actualize, because the best of you will give the best to the world. And that's my final word today. Thank you.